Yo, yo, yo. We're excited to share this conversation with you. God has been doing amazing things in Grace's life, and we thought this would be an awesome way to share that with you. So hope you stick around and listen to the whole thing. One thing real quick, we did have our two youngest kids in the room while recording this, so there is some background noise, but just bear with it. It's amazing to see what God is doing in people's lives. So hope you enjoy. Tell me about your Icon experience so far. So you joined Icon. When was that?
Let me think. It was like
A month and a half ago?
It was like it was. I think it was like it was mid-August, wasn't it?
Probably.
Because
somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So somewhere around a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's been good. It's actually been like really helpful for my devotions because, well,
yeah,
because you're supposed to do an accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Except for I kind of always forget to put it in the chat.
It's all good.
And so, but at least I like have been doing devotions. So
yeah. So I want to get your perspective on, for the people that don't know what Icon is. What's your perspective of Icon? This would be interesting.
Let me think for a second. So it's like, and there. How do I?
Yeah, like what's the, maybe a better question is like, what's the purpose of it? Like what does it include? Everything like that.
Okay, so I think like the purpose of Icon is to like help you be more accountable and like help you just grow closer to God.
Yeah.
And like you would, like with the accountability devotional thing, you would like it makes sure like you do your devotions.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that's really helpful because before I joined Icon, I mean, like I did do devotions like a little bit because I was always like, oh, I'm too busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
But then when I joined Icon, I feel like I actually felt like more like accountable to do my devotions, and I feel like that really helped me. And like I just see like God in a different light now.
Yeah.
And so like we'll like meet up one time. I don't know. Is it one or two times?
It's supposed to be twice a month, but sometimes that doesn't happen.
Okay.
But
I was like, I don't know. Is it one time or two times?
Yeah.
But last time, it was my first time at the Icon meetings. We listened to Dan Muller.
Yeah.
Wait, is that his?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, I got it right.
What did you call him last time?
I don't even know.
Some people call him Muller, but it's Muller.
No, like
it was something with a P, like Dan.
I don't even know. It was. I was way off.
Yeah, it's all good.
But what he said was like, one thing that he said was like, you can know God and like read your Bible. And this is what's really stuck out to me was, you can know God and read your Bible and like get the knowledge of God.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't have like a close relationship and know God, like in a personal way, and just like let those words like seep into you more.
Yeah.
And so just like basically reading your Bible and checking it off the list.
Yeah.
And I just felt like I was like, whoa, like.
Yeah, that's actually like the purpose of.
Yeah.
I feel like devotions in our like church culture, devotions are definitely more set up to be like a box check. So it's like, I did that, check, boom, I'm moving on.
Yeah.
But it's actually a relationship. And in that clip, he used an example of like your neighbor. Like, you could live by your neighbor for 10 years, and then someone will say, hey, can you tell me about your neighbor? And you can talk for probably 20, 30 minutes. And say, they drive this car, they do this on the weekends, but you actually never talk to them. So you don't actually have a relationship with them, but you know about them.
Exactly. And I just thought that was like really crazy because like growing up, I was always like, everyone always told me like do your devotions. Like it helps you grow closer to God.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, but like I was always just thinking of like looking at it the way like oh, I just gotta check this box off, and like I did my devotions.
Yeah.
And so I guess that like when people told me like like you have to do your devotions. I just felt like it was just like more of a chore and just something that you would just check off your like your little list to be a good Christian.
Yeah.
But where were they going with that?
You're saying devotions, and it used to be more of like, just do it kind of thing.
Yeah, and so like I felt like if I like did my devotions, I felt like I was being fake.
Yeah.
Because like I was just basically like checking off the list.
Yeah.
So I just didn't really like do them that often.
Yeah.
But now I feel like it just like helps me so much, because like every time I do my devotions, I feel like my personal relationship with God just like grows so much deeper.
Yeah.
And I can literally feel my cup overflowing when I read my devotions.
Yeah. That's awesome. And until you like experience that for yourself, it's really like, it does seem like devotions are just something that you have to do.
Yeah, because like I never really like felt like in the Bible it says like your cup will overflow. And I felt like I was like, well, my cup's never overflowed before, so
yeah, like what does that even mean?
like exactly.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like, oh wow, like I actually feel like overflowing right now.
Yeah.
And like it's just like I feel like I've been on this high right now. Like I don't know, it's great, because I know like if I like I feel like every high has a low.
Yeah.
And I feel like I just have to stay constant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if I end up like going a low, like what's gonna happen? Like you always say that,
it, but all gas no brake.
Exactly.
Yeah, like no matter what situation you're in, if you're in the low, just keep going.
Exactly.
So,
and I feel like every time like I had like a low point in my life, that's when I would turn to God.
Yeah.
Because like now is the time I need Him.
Yeah.
Instead of at the highs where like life is good, so I don't really think about God.
Yeah. That's where I want to get, like, me personally, I want to get better in my walk with Jesus, is when I am in the highs, staying, like, keeping my foot on the gas.
Yeah.
Like, keep pursuing Him, even when, my life is calmer and more peaceful. That's another time that you can grow. It doesn't have to be just in the low points, because we don't like the low points. We don't want the low points, to be honest.
Yeah. But. And I feel like something that's really been helping me like stay constant with God, like throughout like with my high points, because like right now I'm at a high. I'm like, I feel like everything's good.
Yeah.
And like I feel like I'm like still so close to God, because like what you said on the youth trip was like about the unceasing prayer.
Yeah.
And my like the thing I said was like to just talk to God like every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I feel like ever since like I've been talking to God like more constantly throughout the day, like every day.
Yeah.
It's just like I feel like I just know like I just feel still so like high up there with Him.
Yeah.
And I just know that I'm not going to be alone.
Right.
And there are some days where I'm like, I just kind of forget.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like,
yeah, we get distracted, and yeah. It's something that is like definitely something you need to practice.
Yeah. And I'm trying to like make more of like a habit out of like.
Yeah.
So the days that like I do talk to God, I'm just like yes, like yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I just feel so like rejuvenated.
Yes, that word.
That word. I can't believe I just said that right.
That's awesome. So when did this all start making sense to you, or when did like devotions start becoming alive to you?
Okay, so at the beginning of August, I was at like a really low point, and I was just having a lot of insecurities about like friendships. Yeah. And so I just felt like I was like not good enough, and like no one loved me, and like let me think, what was another one that and that was really annoying. Like like I thought like for like I literally, after I would hang out with like Madison in our group, I'd always ask Madison like, hey, do you think I was being annoying?
Yeah.
And like she said like no, like I don't think so. And I'm like, are you sure? Because like I feel like I was.
Yeah.
And then one thing that she did, okay, I'm gonna get like this really like touched me. Like she sent me a video of like everyone in our group, like Harrison, like Carter, Dane, Grant, and Shy, and Caitlin. Yeah. And and Marcia. Yeah. I think Marcia was there. I'm not sure. I think that's actually one day that she didn't. Maybe she. Anyway, our group.
Yeah.
She sent me a video after I was like, are you sure? Of like everyone saying you're not annoying, Grace. And like I literally teared up.
Yeah.
Like I was like oh, like they don't think I'm annoying.
Yeah.
And so I was like okay, but like why am I like feeling like I'm annoying? Like why do I feel like no one loves me? Because like I hear people say like I love you, Grace. Like you're such an amazing person. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I hear people say that. And I just felt like I didn't really believe it. Like I heard it and I was like, oh, okay, thanks. Like I love you too. Because I did love them.
Right.
And I just felt like maybe like they're just saying that because like they just felt like they should. Yeah. And so one thing that like I started doing my like devotions and like one thing that God showed me was like you should like take yourself out of the equation. Yeah. I learned that from my Uninvited book. Like it doesn't say like in like the book like take yourself out of the equation. Yeah. But like when the stuff I read like was basically like her like taking herself out of the equation and like saying like look at like your friendships without yourself in the equation. And are these people actually like hurting you like on purpose? Yeah. Right. And do they like, or are you just like making it all about you? Right. And when I like realized like I was literally making it all about myself. Yeah. Like that's when I started like feeling like seeing the lies I was believing and like and like just like actually like believing that like I was like God made me perfectly. Yeah. And that's when I started believing like the stuff that God says about me is true. Yeah. And so that's when like one thing that like really like helped me with my insecurities was like when we did the in my You're good. The In My Feels devotional. Okay. That like the In My Feels devotional and Uninvited. Highly recommend those two together, by the way. But they literally helped me so much get through like all that. Yeah. Because like we have our little like Bible study together. Yeah. And when I would talk about it and actually read the stuff that the devotional was saying and I wish I brought that devotional with me right now.
Oh, it's all good.
But the stuff that the devotional was saying was like it touched me so much because it's literally the places I was hurting. Yeah.
And the devotional also goes through each emotion. Each week is like a new emotion, and then it'll ask you exactly like what emotion you're feeling and on a scale of 1 to 10. And so it makes you dig really deep into how you're actually doing, how you're actually feeling.
Yeah. And that's just like, I was like, whoa. And then, there was this one thing that like said like in the sad week, I'm not sure. Wait, was it the sad week? I don't know. It was either the hurt or sad
lonely.
Week.
The lonely week?
Oh, wait. No, that's not right. I don't know. One of the weeks it said like how when we're feeling that emotion of the week, like, I think it was sad, how people are I think actually it was hurt. No, wait. It was the second week. What is the second week? Because it goes hurt was the first week. I think it was sad and then lonely.
Okay.
Anyway. When we were feeling when we were feeling sad, it says we the things that we say to ourselves like, oh, I'm fine, it's whatever, like that stuff was literally there was a list of stuff and I literally circled the ones that I literally said I literally say when I'm hurt or sad, I literally say it's whatever. Yeah. And it was literally on there. I was like
whoa. That's awesome. Yeah, when you were talking about the friends thing and believing the lies and it actually goes right back to what you said about Dan Muller. There's things that we know in our head but we don't know in our heart. And when we have relationships with other people, we can know in our head that, okay, they say they love me. They say that, you know, like in your case, that you're not annoying. But, like, to actually, like, feel it and to know it is, like, something completely different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, like, another thing was, like, I was feeling, like, very alone.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, so I was, like, having anxiety and, like, with that stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, I like, there was a week where, like, I literally had anxiety for, like, every day that week.
Yeah.
Like, maybe, like, a couple times a day. It was very bad. Like, I was having anxiety attacks. It was not great.
Yeah.
Like, I'd even be with my friends, and, like, all of a sudden, I'm like, oh my goodness, like,
yeah.
I'm feeling so anxious. Like, one time we were at the gazebo.
Yeah.
And I had to have Abigail pick me up at, like, 9:30 because I was feeling so anxious, and, like, my foot was, like, twitching, and, like,
yeah.
I don't know. That's the day then when I told Abigail about, like, my anxiety and stuff. Mm-hmm. And, well, that's not what I'm getting into here. But, when I was doing my devotions, like, in my feels devotional, like, one of the questions was, okay, first of all, let me clarify. I was feeling very alone.
Yeah.
Like, very alone.
Yeah.
And, like, very unseen and very, like, unloved.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the devotional, one of the questions that, like, literally stuck out to me was, what is your dream day with God? And so I, like, answered the question, and I was like,
it's a great question.
I was like, oh, like, this, and this.
Yeah.
And so then that, like, literally got me thinking, like, what is my dream morning with God? Mm-hmm. Like, when, like, when I'm not, like, physically can see God, mm-hmm. and I'm just, like, doing my devotions, what is my, like, dream morning?
Yeah.
So my, like, I was thinking, I was like, oh, like, my dream morning would be like, I do my devotions out on the deck, and, like, after I do my devotions, I read the Uninvited book. Mm-hmm. And it's early in the morning, and then when I start reading the Uninvited book, it just starts, like, raining, because I love rain.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, it's amazing. Underrated.
It is very underrated. But so it was, like, mid-afternoon, and, like, it was a very sunny day, and I was like, oh, like, what's my dream morning? And, like, so I, like, was saying, like, how it's like always, like, starts raining when I read the Uninvited book. Like, you know what? It's a very nice day outside. I feel I have nothing better to do, so I'm gonna go read, like, the Uninvited book out on the deck. Mm-hmm. Literally, like, 2 pages into the Uninvited book, it started raining.
Wow.
And, like, it was still so sunny outside.
Yeah.
And it started raining. And I was like, I literally, like, I was like, what is that sound? Like, and so, like, because I was reading, and, like, I look up, and it's just raining. But it was still so sunny, so, like, I like, didn't know it was raining. But, like, the sound, like, I was like, is that a bunch of bees? I'm like, what is that? I'm like, those are some weird sounding bees.
Yeah.
And I literally walked out, like, outside of our porch, and, like, I just stood in the rain, and I was just, like, thanking God, because in that moment, like I, like, felt the presence of God with me. Yeah. And instantly I did not feel alone anymore.
Yeah.
And yeah, I did feel seen. And I just knew, like even when I'm feeling, like, very alone and, like, unseen, like, God still sees me, and he's still with me.
Yeah.
And, like, that just made it so clear to me in that moment, and I just, like, started crying, and, like, I just, like, felt, like, so at peace.
Yeah.
And so I literally had to text Mary. I was like, Mary, you'll never guess what happened.
That's awesome. Those are the moments that, like, you...
Like, it doesn't seem like it's, like, a big, like, thing. But to me, it was huge. Yeah. Like, it literally, like... What is the thing? What is the words? I don't know what to, like, the tip of the iceberg.
The tip of the iceberg. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Those are the moments too, like, when, like, because we're human, so, like, you're gonna feel alone again at some point.
Yeah.
And so in that moment you can be like, okay, I remember that day in the rain.
That's,
like,
literally what Mary said.
Yeah.
And I think too, like, sometimes, and I know that, you know, you didn't maybe necessarily this time ask God to show up for you in a certain way, but don't ever be afraid to like ask God for those moments, especially when you're feeling unseen or unloved or whatever it is. I think sometimes we forget that we can say like, hey God, like I'm not at a great place. You need to show up for me and show me that you care, show me that you love me. Like every single time I've done that, it's amazing what he does.
Yeah, because like
he always will.
Yeah, because you think yeah, this is what I thought. Like I thought it was always like I don't want to like abuse like God, like always just be like, God, I need this, I need this, and this and this.
Right.
But like if you really do need it, and like if you are really hurting, and like if you just need to know that he's there, he will show up.
Yeah. It's like that passage that I can't remember where it is, somewhere in the in one of the Gospels, but it talks about like, you know, what good father gives his son a snake, you know,
exactly,
or a stone, like, and that's why like the goodness of God has been so like important for me, so important for me because it just helps me realize that like I can't ask for those things. I can be like, God, like I need you here today, like now, and just kind of wait on him to move or answer my prayer. But like, I think we think in some way we're like inconveniencing God. You know, it's like I'm going to be an inconvenience if I ask for this, or maybe he actually doesn't really want to show up for me. Maybe he's got better stuff to do than to make it rain on a sunny day for you.
Yeah,
right, you do your devotions.
Exactly.
But like, I feel like that goes right back to like what you were saying about how you were like constantly worrying about your friends thinking you're annoying. Like that's kind of how we do that with God too. We constantly wonder like, oh, okay, is this, is that? But that's why reading scripture is so important, because it's like, no, it's all over scripture. Like he loves us, he made us, he knows us, and he wants us to know him more. And so like he's a good father. So like all of those things add up to like, in a human perspective, if you say, oh, this guy's a good dad, and then you say, okay, well, yeah, on Tuesday I was at their house and his kids were just asking him for a drink of water, but like he wouldn't give it to them. You would be like, he doesn't sound like a good father, you know what I mean? But so I feel like sometimes like our human experience, we can like I feel like we separate God from like all of our human experiences. And it's like, yeah, they're not perfect analogies, but if God is a good father, then he wants to give you the rain in your devotional time. He wants to show you that you're not alone. Like he wants to step up and be like, hey, I'm here, I see you, I love you. And yeah, I think it's like Mary was saying, it's good to ask him for those things.
Yeah, like what you were just saying, like
we can edit that out. That was awesome. Ghost energy.
Anyway, like you were saying, like what, like if you think about it, like God is like our father, and if you go up to your dad with a problem, will he just be like, okay, like figure it out yourself?
Right.
Like no father's gonna do that.
Yeah. Right.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
He will help you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he loves you and like he wants what's best for you.
Yeah.
So I just thought like, yeah.
I think another aspect we think like where we get the father thing wrong is like if you talk to dads, like I'm a dad, so I can vouch a little bit. But if you talk to dads, like, or parents in general, like they want their kids they don't want them to experience like a lot of pain, but they do want their kids to figure stuff out for themselves, because that's what like lasts into adulthood is like, okay, you experience that for yourself, now we learn from it.
Yeah.
Like a good parent, yes, they don't want their kid to go through pain, but they do want their kids to learn. And sometimes it is allowing them to make that choice that is like, okay, this is probably not the right choice, but I'm going to give you the freedom to make that choice. And then once we come back and convene, we can say, okay, this wasn't the right choice, but we can learn from this and we can improve. Like no parent any normal parent anyway, like if they were like, hey, here's a pill that you can give your kid, and the kid will do exactly everything that you want. Like no parent would give their kid that pill, because then it takes away everything. It takes away love, it takes away relationship, because they're just doing it because you gave them a pill. And so I feel like we take that part away from God, and we just say, well, God should just do everything for us ahead of time. And it's like, no, that's not how relationships work.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why those moments too are so meaningful, because they always bring us back to God and our need for God.
Yeah.
Something else Grace and I talked about last week was when we do have those moments with God and where He shows up for us when we need Him the most. Those are the moments too that when we do come off of a high and find ourselves in a low place again, we think back to those moments where, okay, God showed up for me last time, and I know that no matter what I'm going through, He will be there for me again, and He is with me now. Like, and those are the moments that I think spur us on and keep us going.
Yeah.
Definitely. And there are moments that we need to share.
Exactly.
Sitting here. Awesome. So is there anything else that was on your mind, or anything else that has been impactful since that first moment?
Yeah. So it was actually, Jordan, your one sermon on prayer that one Sunday before youth camping.
Yes.
Yeah, that was before youth camping. Nice. Got it. Okay, but so that Sunday, I didn't bring anything to take notes, because I usually don't take notes,
Yeah.
But so I asked for a piece of paper from Larissa, I think, and a pen, because I was just planning on what helps me focus is I doodle.
Okay. It's
weird. But
no, I get it. I get it. Listening to music helps me focus, so it doesn't really make sense, but
yeah. So anyway, one thing that you said was the one question in the beginning was, why aren't we praying? And I was like whoa, I was like, why aren't we praying? At first I was like I do pray, but when was the last time I prayed before that?
Yeah,
I don't
know. Right. Yeah.
So when you asked why aren't we praying, I was like whoa, why aren't we praying? And then later on in the sermon, that's what it's called. You said you answered it with two, three. I missed the third one. Well, I missed the second one, but I got the last one.
Okay.
But
it's all good.
But so I got the first one, and that one was okay. Yeah. But the one that the last one that I got really stuck out to me. It says, why don't we believe that prayer actually changes it? Wait, we don't believe that prayer actually changes anything.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, I never thought about it that way. I feel when you said that, it literally clicked in my brain. That's the reason I don't pray.
Right.
Earlier when I would pray, I'd be like, okay, I'll pray, but I didn't actually mean or believe what I was saying.
Yeah.
Would actually impact anything.
Yeah.
Because it's God can already read my thoughts.
Yeah.
So why do I need to pray?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And so I feel that just that literally changed everything for me, because when you said that, I was like, whoa. And
yeah.
And that Monday was the Monday after was actually the time when I you lit a little spark, and then that Monday after was the time when I did my dream morning with God.
Yeah. Okay.
And so literally I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. He actually hears me.
Yeah, he heard. Yeah.
And I just was like, whoa, that just changed everything for me.
Yeah.
And so I feel I started praying about the relationships in my life that were giving me anxiety, and because I needed to have some talks with certain people because
yeah.
Well, I knew that, but like I hate talking to like people about meaningful things that like if I'm hurting and I need to talk to the person to like
address things.
Yeah. I hate doing that.
Yeah.
Same.
It's like actually so terrible because I'm like I don't know what to say, and when I get up there, I'm like when I get the courage to actually talk to them, I'm like, oh, like now like my brain literally goes blank and I'm like, okay, well now I don't even know what to say. Like you did, like I've been feeling this and this and this, and I feel like it's been because of this and this and this.
Yeah.
But like I don't ever want to feel like the other, like I don't want to ever make the person out like feel like I'm accusing them.
Right.
Because I'm not accusing them. I'm just I feel like I just like to point things out.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was just praying about having some conversations with certain people.
Yeah.
So that week, it was, let me think. I was praying about having this one conversation with this certain person. I'm not going to name names. Because I was just getting a lot of anxiety and from what I needed to talk to him about. And I was just like, I felt like I would bottle it up. And then it just come out in anxiety attacks. Yeah. Because I would just constantly think about it.
Yeah.
And
that was on a Wednesday afternoon that we talked about it.
Yeah, it was literally okay. So me and Mary talked that one Wednesday. Yeah. So it was the Wednesday after the sermon and after that Monday.
Okay.
And so I was talking to Mary because I was like I need to I was just talking to her about everything about the stuff that I need to have the people I need to have conversations with. And so I was like, you know what, honestly, Mary said if I should have the conversation sooner, I should have the conversation probably that night. But I was just I need time to think about it, I don't know, because I didn't know what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking about it and was just praying about it all day, and I was praying about it for so long. I was just okay, you know what, God, if this person calls me today, tonight when I'm driving home, I'll talk to them. Yeah. About that exact thing that I need to talk about.
Yeah.
And I just need I need you to give me the words.
Mm-hmm.
That Wednesday after, I don't know why I always do this to myself, but anyway.
Yeah.
That Wednesday after youth. Yeah. I was okay, hey, it was raining outside because it was after the VBS thing at the the migrant center. Yeah. So it was raining outside, so I had to leave early because I was scared I don't want it to get worse. And there's a little bit a let up in the rain, and I didn't feel driving and downpouringness. Right. Especially 40-minute drive with really bad roads that you can easy hydroplane. Yeah, hydroplane. Yeah, hydroplane. And so I was you know what, he's probably not gonna call me. It's okay. I was oh phew, it's raining outside. He won't be able to hear me if we called. Yeah. when I got home, I was just sitting in the car and we were texting. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to go inside because I was so sick at that moment. I was so sick of pretending how I feel. And in the car, I could literally just not pretend because I was alone. And I didn't want to go into the house and have Abby ask me hey, are you okay? Because I didn't want to talk about it. Right. And so I just so sick of pretending so that people just want to ask if I'm okay. That way I don't break down crying. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And because I really did not want to cry in that moment, at all. I was just anyway. So we were talking, and so eventually, I was just sitting in the car, and he asked how long I was just gonna sit in the car for, mm-hmm. And I was oh, I don't know, for however long I feel like it. Right. So then the person asked if I just wanted to call. And I was shoot. Uh-oh. I was I gotta say yes. Obviously I can't because So we ended up calling that night.
Yeah.
And I was just silent like almost the entirety of the phone call.
Yeah.
Because when I have things on my mind and I need to talk about it,
yeah,
I'm very silent, and you can tell like when I'm upset, because I get really silent, and I'm usually like a really like talkative person.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Yeah. But so the person asked like, "Hey, are you okay?" And I was like, yeah, like I was like, like
it's whatever.
I said it's whatever. and I said like, I don't know, I just don't really feel like talking about it right now.
Yeah.
And he goes, okay, like I'm here if like he goes, okay, I'm here if you need anyone to talk to.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, thanks. And when I was talking with Mary, she goes, sometimes like she said sometimes when we say like when they ask if we're okay, we say yeah, like no, not really, but like if like we say we don't want to talk about it, sometimes we just need like we do want to talk about it, but like we just need someone to ask, like just keep asking, because
we say we don't want to talk about it, but we actually do want to talk about it.
Yeah.
But we actually don't know really what we want to say. But we want you to keep asking.
Exactly, because we want the person to.
Wow, that's so confusing.
we want to know like if the person actually cares, like enough to ask and like keep asking.
Yeah, because if someone's like, hey, how are you? And then you're like, I'm okay. And then they end it, and then you're like, okay, well, they didn't actually really want to know.
Exactly. They just asked to be polite.
I told you that day, too. Like, sometimes if someone asks, like, are you okay? And you're like, no, but I don't really want to talk about it right now. Or, like, it's important, especially if it's a, good friendship or something, like, for that person to, like, maybe come back and say, like, hey, I know you didn't want to talk about it yesterday, but, like, are you doing okay?
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, so I was like, sometimes I wish that, like, that the person would do that.
It's raining right now.
Aww. Anyway, so he like the person kept on talking on the phone, and I was like okay, like, and I was just so quiet, because like I didn't really know what to say, like, because I was just thinking about that thing,
right?
And so then the person asked again, like, are you sure, like, talking about it wouldn't make it better? And I was like, shoot. Like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I mean, it probably would, but like, I don't know. And so he's like,
that's actually a good question. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. And so then I ended up like talking about like I ended up talking about that this one thing, like, that was like I was being very vague at the beginning. I was like, well, I'm just sick of like faking how I feel, and like I was telling him how like I was dealing with anxiety and like and so I just was like, I'm just tired of it all. And then after like, oh, that was a brief summary, by the way, just so you know, because I don't know exactly what I said. But like after I said all that, the person goes, okay, how do you feel now, like, that you said? And I was like, because like I still had more to say, but like I didn't know how to say it,
right? And
so I said because I was hoping that like if I gave him the brief summary of how I was feeling, that it would be enough, and like I could call it quits, and like just like, that's it, like,
right?
But so like earlier that day I told God like I would tell him everything. And so
so you were stuck.
I was
You're
stuck.
like, I don't want to, but I'm right about this.
So
you weren't supposed to answer that one, God.
Exactly. The person goes, "Is that like a good or like a bad?"
Yeah.
And I was like, like, no, it was like good.
Yeah.
Like obviously.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I was really like struggling because I didn't want to say anymore. Yeah. But then the person was like, if do you want to talk about it? And I was like I don't know, like. Mm-hmm. And so then we ended up talking about it. Right. And after I said all of what I said, he said, "How do you feel now?" And I was like, because I still had one more thing, and it was the one thing that actually
was actually bothering me the most.
Yeah. Yeah. And because I just didn't want to say it. Right. But then he's like, "Is that a good or a bad?" And I was like, And so then we ended up talking about that. Yeah. And actually when I was telling him about how I was feeling about that certain situation, I started tearing up because I was so scared about what it was about and and I just it just felt it meant so much that he was hearing what I was saying and yeah, and that I was just,
and you knew that he cared.
Yeah. And but I say so much, but it meant so much, and I started tearing up about it. Yeah. And I was like, shoot, I don't want to cry. And because when I cry, you can hear it in my voice. And I think he could tell when I was talking about it that I was tearing up because my voice started getting that way. Crack. Yeah. And I think that's how he knew that it meant so much to me. Yeah. And then after I said all that I had to say, he said, "How do you feel now?" And I was like, oh, he actually said, is that all? And I was like, except for he didn't say it in that way. I'm not sure how he said it because it was just so long ago. Yeah. But I was always like, yeah, that's it. Yeah. And he goes, "How do you feel now?" And I go, I feel better. Yeah. And but then after I said all of that, I started talking to him, and I wasn't quiet the rest of the conversation, the rest of the phone call. I actually picked up and started talking because
you got off your mind what was on your mind.
Exactly. Yeah. But the fact wow, I'm just realizing I say "but the fact" a lot.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Anyway, the fact that I said if he calls me God, then I'll tell him. Yeah. Just I need you to give me the words, and God gave me the words. Yeah. And I was like wow, because I feel I always do this to myself, and it's it's annoying but not annoying because okay, so the first time I was like, "God, if you do this, then I'll do this." Yeah. Was after Colorado, we did a what's it called? Girls thing in the Sunday classroom where we share again. Anyway, so I said, "God, if because there was something that I needed to share, but I really didn't want to." So I said, "God, if Madison shares, then I'll share," because I was fully expecting Madison's not gonna share. Well, as literally seconds after I said, "If Madison shares, then I'll share," she literally shared, and I was like, "What the crust?" So then I was like, "I promise, I promise I will share." And then Madison shared, and then I was like, "Shoot, now I guess I have to share." And so I ended up sharing. And then another time when I said "God, I should do this, and I'll do this," was the ministry night at Rosedale, the RIC in Columbus. So I said if Grace shares, then I will share. Because I was like, Grace has already shared, like, what she needed to share, like, what she shared multiple times. So I was like, if Grace shares, then I will share. Again, seconds later, Grace shared. And I was like, oh my word. Like, and so then right after Grace, I literally started bawling and I shared. And then I said, if this person calls me, then I will tell him, like, and he called me and I was like, oh my word. Like I feel like I do it to myself because I say, God, if you do this, then I'll do this. But like the fact that like he actually like does it, and then like I obviously have to do it because he showed up. And I guess like the fact that like that he actually shows up, it just like it means so much because like I don't know how to say it. Like knowing that he actually like listens and like I know I've already said this in this podcast, but like when he listens, it just it's very mind blowing to know that like he will show up when you need him.
Right.
And I just like it was just mind blowing. And then that was like when I was praying about it, like God actually showed up. And but then the what's it called? The youth camping we learned about unceasing prayer.
Yeah.
And I was just like praying about like stuff to have another conversation, like to give me the words and like stuff like if I should I do this, like should I tell this like these people about like everything I've been feeling, because like it was stuff with my parents and it was just really like it was really heavy on my heart, and so I was just praying about it like. And I like that weekend, like it was like I literally was praying about it so much. And so when we went home, I was just like okay, like I gotta go home now. Yeah. Like I gotta leave the like the feeling of like the youth camping of like being on the high of like everything. And I thought like oh, like now I gotta go home and hit reality again.
Yeah.
It was funny because right, like when we were cleaning up, you were trying to find different ways that you could avoid going home.
Yeah.
And nothing was seeming to work out.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I was like I was just really like hurt. And so when I like my dad picked me up and like we actually had like a really nice conversation because we haven't talked to him forever because like he's usually gone, and when he comes home I'm at like it's the weekends and I was always like gone, so I couldn't really talk to him. And then like I would come home at night, but like he'd already be in bed, and like if he wasn't in bed then we talked for like a couple minutes, and then because he was getting ready for bed and then he would go to bed. And so I just really missing my dad. And then when we talked like in the car, I was like I just felt so touched because I was really missing him and I really needed to talk. And we were just talking about like just like my life and like how volleyball has been, but like catching him up, I was like yes, like I love this. And then when I got home, I immediately went to my bedroom, closed the door, because that's how I shut the world out, is I close the door. And I was just reading my book, and then my dad like called me out, and he said how like he brought me out to the porch, and he showed me a praying mantis that he like brought to the porch because he knows how much I like praying mantis. Oh my word, praying mantises. And because in New York, when we lived in New York, there was a praying mantis in our yard, and every time there was, he would always like show me, and I loved it. But the fact that, like, he wanted to show me again, like, I was just, like, really touched. I was like, oh, like, thanks.
Yeah.
Like, thanks. Thanks for thinking about me. But then right after that, my mom was sitting on the couch, and my dad goes, hey, Grace, like, we need to talk about some things.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the stuff that I was praying that weekend that, like asking God, like, should I, like, tell them?
Mm-hmm.
And when we talked, like, I started crying.
Yeah.
Because I felt unloved by them.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like I wasn't seen by them.
Yeah.
And I just, like, I felt very hurt.
Right.
And so, and then when they were like, I knew they had to leave for work.
Yeah.
And that was just giving me a lot of anxiety because, like, I hate being alone because of situations in New York. I feel like it gave me separation anxiety. And so when, like, knowing that they had to, like, leave, that just gave me so much anxiety, and, like, I was just not doing good.
Yeah.
And so when my dad was like, hey, like Grace, like, your mom has been noticing, like, you've been feeling like she's been feeling like you've been, like, distancing yourself from her. And I feel like I, like, was kind of distancing myself from her because, like I was just feeling hurt by, like, the things, like I was feeling unloved, and I felt like if I could distance myself, it wouldn't hurt as much. And, like, I felt like if I distanced myself, it wouldn't hurt as much if they left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because sometimes that's easier. Yeah. That's easier to do than to face. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, so we talked, and, like, I said the things that, like, I needed to say. Because, like, I was just praying about it, like, and the fact that, like, I actually got to say the things that I got to say before they left. It just, like, really touched my heart, and I feel like I was having so much resentment for my mom.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just, I didn't like that because I wanted to have a good relationship with her.
Right.
And I'd see other people, like, having this great relationship with their parents.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like, and the way I was, like, feeling, I was like, oh, like, I guess I can't have that.
Right.
But when we talked about it, it was just, like, mind-blowing how, like, God answered my prayers. And my parents had to leave that Tuesday then for or I can't remember if it was Tuesday or Monday, for Illinois.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I didn't, like, I know if I didn't have that conversation, I would be in so much anxiety because they left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I would still be feeling unloved. And I feel like I just have so much anxiety attacks.
Yeah.
And because I know that's where, like, a lot of my anxiety was coming from, was from the feeling that I was feeling from my parents.
Yeah.
And I actually haven't had any anxiety attacks or haven't felt any anxiety at all since they left.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I know it was because God answered my prayer and that he showed up when I needed him.
Yeah.
And it was just mind-blowing. And
yeah. I just saw read something this morning, and it said that anxiety is, like, our body's way of telling us that something isn't right.
Yeah.
And like not to run from it, because that's usually when anxiety hits. Like that's what you want to do, is you want to run.
Yeah.
But not run from it, but recognize that, okay, something isn't quite right, and what is that? And for you, it was these conversations that you had to have but didn't really want to have.
Yeah.
But it's just cool to see, because I remember Mary telling me that, like how there were different times where you prayed and like you're like, all right, God, if like the story about Madison sharing, like if she shares, then I'll share. But I mean, she's probably not gonna share, and then all of a sudden she shares, and you're like, and just like these little instances where, that are like big faith builders. Like God was there, God, He heard you, and it's not something that like you have to say this like long elaborate prayer or be like super spiritual. You can just say, all right, God, like if you're here, this, or like if you want me to do this, then do this. You know what I mean? Just like short, simple prayers that you're talking to God, and it gives Him the chance to answer. So
yeah. And I feel like that's like what really changed my my belief in prayer.
Yeah.
And it changed how I viewed prayer so much.
Yeah.
Because He showed up when I needed Him.
Yeah.
And I know if like I didn't ask, I don't know, like He maybe would have showed up because He knew I needed it.
Yeah.
But I feel like He wanted me to ask.
Yeah. It's giving Him the opportunity to make His presence known.
Yeah.
Whereas if we're not praying throughout the day, then He never has the opportunity to show up.
Exactly.
For us. So, yeah.
And another thing that like really like changed my view on like anxiety was like that reel you sent me was the thankfulness and anxiety can't coexist in your brain.
Right.
And so I feel like I've just been trying to like think on like all of the stuff I have to be thankful for.
Yeah.
And like that's really been helping me. And like Mary, at the beginning like of all like my anxiety, Mary told me to put verses in my notes. So like when I feel anxiety, like to like read those verses.
Go back to those verses. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like when I was having anxiety, it would help, but like I knew like my anxiety would come back, like.
Yeah.
And so I was just like the verses would help me, but I just didn't really give them the power.
Right.
Like the entirety of that power.
Yeah.
To help me.
Yeah.
And so it was just, yeah. And then when you sent me that reel, I was like, whoa. It's just like, it totally changed how I viewed anxiety.
Yeah. So to clarify the study, the guy was saying that there's 2 universities that did a joint study on anxiety. And what they learned is that if your brain is experiencing gratitude, it can't experience gratitude and anxiety at the same time. And so, like, you can only do one or the other. And so their point was, like, to be more grateful for the things around you, and that will help your anxiety in the moment. So, just to clarify.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks, Grace, for agreeing to do this. And, I think it's just cool. I don't think we do this enough in the church, is when somebody has a breakthrough moment or like experiences God in a real way, we don't share with one another and like give our testimony so we can encourage others. And so I wanted to give you the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, so. I love this, Jordan, so thanks.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Peace.